Oh, good. Hi. Hi, everybody. Turn your cameras on so we can say hi to you. So nice to see everybody. I'm assuming everybody can hear. I know you guys are all muted. Nod your head if you can hear us.
Yeah. Okay,
Can hear?
good.
Okay, good. Awesome.
Okay.
Kim's got the controls of the Zoom call, so she might mute me.
Yeah. We're gonna see how it goes. We do have some backup help in case. All right. So I'm gonna keep letting people in here. We still have people coming in. Ah, gotcha. Oh, look at all these beautiful people. Okay, good.
All right, welcome everybody. This is our first Zoom call. Hope it's going to go okay. We do have our tech web person in the background, like ready there to help us. Kim's got all the controls, so I'm just sort of logged in as a user as well. We're very excited to have you guys here and have Q&A. And really, this is just a very informal Zoom call. We hope to have this happening at least every month, maybe even more than that. We want to be able to support you guys after you leave the classes. And we want your questions and answers. I know it's a lot when you leave the class and you go home and you don't have support in your area to be able to connect with, other practitioners and ask questions. So that's what we're hoping for in this call. Just, anything that you guys want to ask or bring up any topics, we're here to answer.
So the way you can do that is you can either raise your hand or you can put something into the chat box. So we'll just be kind of going back and forth. If anybody wants to start off with anything, I'll be looking for that. Pat Pine, hi Pat, has her
Hi, Pat.
raised. So what's your question, Pat? How are you?
You have to unmute her.
I think she may have to unmute herself.
I
I have to.
sorry.
Oh, there. You
Okay.
get
Things are going great, but I had somebody call me yesterday and she had a small orange size benign tumor removed in 2006.
Mhm.
She has a titanium plate with screws. She gets headaches. That's how they found it, all that. Is this somebody I can work on since it's 2006?
definitely. What I don't know why
That's what
I don't know why there'd be any contraindication for that. 2006 is a really long time ago, and I'm sure she's got a lot of tension and fascial strain in her cranial bones from that, surgery. Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking, but you know how you just have that doubt, that little doubt in your head, and I'm like, since we're on tonight, I thought I would ask. But yeah, she does have it. It did return, but it is very minute, like the size of her fingernail, and so I didn't think that was an issue. I kind of thought that it would help relieve some of her headaches. Anyway, so thank you.
Yeah,
That was
good.
Well, if you're ever in doubt and you don't feel comfortable, just have them get medical clearance. They can ask their doctor.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that just is
Oh,
just another level of like, okay, that's good. Like they say
do,
that's fine.
not to be sarcastic, but will they know what craniosacral
Well,
fascia?
it probably won't, but you could say cranials. They're going to know what craniosacral therapy is.
Okay,
Yeah.
because many don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, when I have had that happen before with, fragile or just, cases like that, they did say, yeah, craniosacral therapy. So
yeah, I
yeah.
think it'll be a good case, but I just, just that little doubt. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Oh, Sally S. I can see you waving your hand.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Okay.
I'm asking this question on behalf of a friend who I took the course with. She was wondering when will the directory be up and running? And also she said she sent an application to pay and she sent an application, but she was wondering when the link will come to pay because there was like no timeline on it.
Yeah, so it's looking like it will be open by the end of April. So right now we are collecting applications and reviewing the applications, and up until I think it's April 19th, We're taking, we're offering even a discount off of the $295, so it would be $195. Am I saying that right? For the first year. So if you're thinking about joining the directory, I would do that before the 19th. And then once everything's approved, we should be open and directing people to the directory by the end of April. So she should have gotten an email. Everybody should just have an email saying, we've gotten your application, we're reviewing it. No money is collected until the directory actually opens, so you get the full year of the use. And so that's how we should be moving forward with that. And yes, Brittany, it is going to be from the time that you sign up. That is when your year starts. It's not a calendar year. So you can go on the website under directory, and you can get to the application from there.
Okay, thank you so much.
That answer your question? Good. We're hoping this is going to be a really positive way where there's just been so much conversation around the Facebook Wild West of just asking for practitioners. People are jumping on there. There's 12,000 people on that Facebook page of Barry's. There are people on there who are not even CFT practitioners. There are people on there who are not licensed properly. All those things are happening. And there's been a lot of complaining for a long time about it, justifiably. And so that is why we're putting this together, so that people can know that when they are searching someone, they're going to a place that you are affiliated with Gillespie Approach, you have trained in CFT, and that you have proper licensure for your state and for your profession. So, and that's different for every profession, and it's different for every state. So that's, that's why we're trying to collect applications and our licenses and liability insurance to see that, there's at least that much in place.
Yeah. And, we get inundated with emails of asking for people. Today we got an email from somebody asking for somebody in Michigan, and we taught 2 trainings in Michigan. And so I can't possibly know where this woman's giving me her small town name, and then I'm on the spreadsheet looking at all the locations in Michigan, and I have no idea, what's close to her. So that's another reason, is we just want people to be able to find people easily. And to also, we had a request when we were just in Phoenix. One of the students came up and said, I'm looking for people in my area. I can't remember where she was, of other CFT practitioners, because I'd like to connect with them in practice. And she told me where she was. And I said, well, I know that we've had people from that area, but we have, everybody's organized by a spreadsheet, and it has taken a training at a different time. So for me to go back through all the spreadsheets to find all the people that are in Indiana or, a certain part of Michigan, it's hard.
And people are coming from all over the country and even world at this point to the training. So it's not even that we go to a Michigan training and we've got 40 Michigan people, not even, 20. They're from all over. So it's just it's so, so good that it's spreading, but it's just time to, get a little bit more organized with that. So I have a couple questions here. Justine Baker, you have a baby born at 27 weeks gestation. He's about 2.5 months corrected age. He has a shunt due to CSF not draining. Is this a contraindication? Yeah. That is one of the few contraindications. We talk about that in the class, and the shunt is being put in there to direct or redirect cerebrospinal fluid. And we don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that piece for that baby. So I personally would not be working on a baby with a shunt. And then you corrected and said a baby is seeking treatment, not your. Okay, so that's a client of yours. Got it. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. If not, you can jump back in. Brooke, hi Brooke. When can we have you out to South Dakota? What are the requirements to get a class up here? We've actually had quite a few people interested in South Dakota. We haven't been to South Dakota. So the requirements for a class is, we need to have enough interest for that area. So that's the biggest thing. We need to be within 30 minutes of a major airport. The venues need to be, so, sorted and reasonable and suitable for us, large enough. We need access to 30 to 40 babies to come in over 3 days. So it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a project to get it going, but that's what's required. So I don't know, maybe you're the person, Brooke, that'll get that going for us.
I would love to. I'd love to have you guys up here.
Yeah. How's it been going for you?
Great. I had another baby.
Oh, congrats.
Congratulations.
So he's 3.5 months now. So I'm just getting going again because we were traveling a lot for Bennett and his case and everything. So he's doing amazing and we're back home and settled in. So I'm starting to see clients a lot more. And I see a few of them in here actually listening in. So
That's awesome.
really
Good to see you.
excited. I'm
Good.
excited for this area too.
Yeah.
But we need more of me because there's only one of me.
Yeah, that's our plan. That's what Holly and I are, we are out every month somewhere trying to get this network built, because it's great if people know about CFT and they're searching for CFT, but we've got to have enough practitioners out there. And that's been hey buddy, that's our mission. Justine, back to if the shunt is permanent, you're asking if he can ever receive CFT in his life. So, I mean, I think that you're getting into territory now where you may be asking his medical providers their thoughts on it. You could certainly reach out to Barry Gillespie and see if he's ever had this situation. I have not personally. I've had kind of a one and done on it. But again, the shunt is in there to direct the cerebrospinal fluid, and we know that that's what we're helping to facilitate with CFT. So, it's kind of dicey. Holly, do you have thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I remember when we did a training back in Michigan, maybe 5 years ago, and we were working with most of the people in the training were PTs, I think, from the PICU. And so when we talked about that and the shunts, they said, well, we work with babies and, children with shunts, infants with shunts all the time. So they weren't scared away from that. I just know that Barry feels very strongly about that. And I've only been asked once to work on a baby with a shunt, and I did not. So that's all the experience I have with it. So I can't really say more about it. But Justine, I would say, talk to the providers and explain to them what we're doing with the CFT and see what they say. I mean, if they gave you medical clearance, understanding the therapy and what we're doing with the cerebral spinal fluid, then maybe they would say it's fine.
Okay, thanks. Got it. Anybody looking for hands raised here?
If you already asked your question, if you could unraise your hand, go back into the reaction section and take your hand off, or just
Took Fruity.
Have you ever had people when they just hold themselves tight and don't unwind at all? Like they would just hold themselves, and even though you can feel that there is some unwinding starting to happen, but then they just hold stiff. Has that ever happened to you? And then in that case, how do you navigate?
Yes, all the time. Yeah. I mean, this is people don't know what to expect. So I think it's really nice to give them a little bit of a hey, you can move around on the table. When you wake up in the morning and you start to just move around and have that first morning stretch, it's kind of like that, in that, don't feel inhibited, to move around. And of course, the more they get to know you and the more comfortable they feel, and they don't really know what to expect the first time, they will start to, be a little bit more relaxed and move around.
You can always try them seated. I think you sometimes can get a little bit more motion seated because you've got the table out of the way, or standing. But we say in class, we usually get a lot of movement in class, and you see people unwinding a lot, but it's a lot different energy in the class. And we say, when you go home, it is not going to look like this. And it doesn't mean that you're not doing CFT correctly. You will, I'm happy to hear you say you feel things happening under your hands, and that's what it's about. So it's about feeling the the fascia, feeling the tightness, following the release, even if it just looks like nothing, you're doing a lot. And you have that tool of the brain cycle to go back to and say, did anything happen? Did the cycle improve in your session? And then you will know, yes, something has happened. And we're going to see how that translates for that client.
Then my follow-up question would be, for kids who are like between that 6 to 10 years old who don't want to sit at one place and lay down on the table or stay quiet for you to do all of that. I feel like I've seen, especially my kids are like 7 and 6.5 right now. So when I put them down and I tried my hands on them to do things, they just don't want to sit still because they're like, oh, you're not doing a whole bunch, and then they just want to move out. Is there something that you guys do to keep the children on the table or occupied, or is it okay that you give them a screen to keep, like, for little ones who want to then stay as you're doing unwinding? Is there anything that has worked for you guys when you do that?
I think if you can, for your own kids, it's a little different than them coming into you for therapy because you're their mom and they know what they can get away with. So, I mean, when they come into your office, oftentimes if it's, 2 or 3 kids, you get, you'll get that kid up there on the table for 10 or 15 minutes and then switch them off, and then usually by, the end of the session or the next time they come to see you, they're fighting to be the first kid on the table. So if you're seeing 2 to 3 kids, break up that hour, with 20 to 30 minutes. And if they can only lay there for 10 minutes and switch off and go to the other kid. And the same thing for your kids. You don't have to have them lay there for a full half an hour to an hour. Work on them for 10 minutes. And when they're done, they get the opportunity to have it, a lot more frequently because you're doing it to them at home. I don't really love the screen situation unless it's absolutely necessary, because what I find is like the kids are holding it and then you're trying to, and they're like wanting to hold the screen. So if it's a younger toddler kid, what I would do is put the toddler in my lap and have the mom hold the screen across from them so that you can still get the unwinding with them sitting in your lap, but not necessarily with them holding it and being so fixated on it. So that's kind of, or oftentimes if they're like nonverbal kids or kids that just really do need that screen, then sometimes the parents can, we can do CFT for a short period of time and then they get a little break for screen time and then they go back and we do a little bit more CFT. And then if all else fails and you have to use the screen, then, do it.
I have one last question. I just treated a 6-month-old yesterday. He came in with a left tilt, and this is my coworker's baby, so I was just seeing him, just casually to see how he would react. She reported that he felt much looser after we did the session. His tilt was gone for the day. He slept well, and this baby also has a helmet for his brachy and plagiocephaly. So he did do everything fine. He stayed okay. He seemed to roll both sides much quicker and did not have any resistance. But today morning woke up with a hard tilt on the right side. That's the opposite side, and his entire right side felt tight. So is there something that I should be looking at, or
did you have him take the helmet off?
I had him take the helmet off during our session when I was working on him for CFT, but then I asked her, like, did he sleep in his helmet at night? And she was like, yes, he did have his helmet on at night. Yeah,
I mean, the helmets are pretty brutal to work with, they're tough because they're, they're shutting the cerebral, they're shutting the brain cycle back down. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Kim, I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, the helmets are going to shut you down to a 0 brain cycle. So, but hang on a second. I just lost my, where's everybody? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you.
You can see me. Okay, sorry.
I'm going to answer Hannah's question because Hannah said, I've noticed that some friends and family members I work on, their brain cycle will be lower than the last time I worked on them. Why might that be? You want to answer that, Kim, or you want me to answer it?
You need to do it because I'm
okay. You can't say it. Okay. So I mean, Hannah, if you feel comfortable getting brain cycle, Most of the time the people should come back with their brain cycle fairly close to what it was, unless something has happened. They've been sick, they had a migraine, they had dental work, they fell down. I mean, with kids, that happens all the time. So I don't know whether you're speaking about a kid or an adult. Oftentimes people will have, like, for example, I had a client who has a Harrington rod and scoliosis, and I can keep her pretty well at the same place. She does go back, because of her Harrington rod, but she got a cortisone shot in her spine. But when she came in and she was back down to a 0. And I asked her, is there anything that's happened to you since I saw you? And she said, no, 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 nothing. I named all the things that could have happened. And then finally at the end of the session, she said, oh, well, something about the cortisone shot. And I said, when did you get that? And she said, oh, I got that, last week. So they don't tell you everything. So there could be something that could be going on with them. Other than that, if you feel confident in your, assessment of getting brain cycle, they should remain, close to where they are.
I also have experienced that the detox is, certainly a real thing, and that detox can bring people back. So I don't get too upset about it. I mean, unless they go back and they're a hard 0, we've got to kind of be figuring out what's happening. Are they wearing metal glasses? Are they grinding at night? What kind of appliances are they wearing? You have to start to kind of maybe dig a little bit deeper as to why they're going back. But if it's just 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes that is the progression. It is not always a straight line where they just keep building, building, building. And so I don't get too upset about it unless, they're really going back to 0 every time, and we've really got to dig into what's been going on. There's stress, there's diet, there's dental. People don't think, they went to the dentist and that could be any kind of a thing, or they had a little fall, or they had something that they don't really consider, but it can certainly affect the cycle. So let's see who we have noticed. Friends with the family members. Somebody put the, okay, I think Francesca put our directory link up there. Brooke Brown, suggestion, I have a 6-year-old girl. I'm working on smaller toys while laying on her back, or fidget toys are great, and they can use their imaginations while using them, so you don't have to use a screen. Absolutely. I have all kinds of toys in my office. Your toys are going to be way more fun than the toys that they come in with. And, 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-olds, that gets a little bit, they're not necessarily playing with toys, but sometimes a Rubik's Cube or one of those widgets or something will keep them. And you start talking and you're making friends, and they start, it's weird for them. They don't know what to expect. So you've got to kind of win them over and start to build some trust. Okay, Hannah, most of them are adults. Migraines and sickness help explain it. Okay, there you go with your brain cycle going back. Emma is asking if we could clarify what's considered a healthy brain cycle. Minimum of 100. That doesn't even mean healthy. That just means minimal. Optimal 120? No, I like to see higher than that. Personally, and this is just my experience, I like to have people in the mid-2s. That's where I find that people are feeling pretty good. So everybody is different, and you'll kind of find what's working for your clients. But I do find that when they're in the mid-2s, things are going pretty well. Okay, Samantha's preparing to take the training. Awesome. Is there anything I can do to get ready? You can go to Barry's website. He's got a gazillion articles on there, so you can read through on the GillespieApproach.com. Lots of great articles there. You can jump on our websites. We've got some podcasts you can listen to and a couple videos, and just kind of familiarize yourself with the language and the ideas around CFT. But just, come with an open heart and an open mind, and you'll do great. We'll look forward to meeting you. Maria, what type of setup do you all have when treating adults? Do you use sheets for your table at all? Holly, do you want to take that one?
No, I don't use any sheets at all. Just they get in the way of you sliding your hands around. You want to be able to clean the table after the person leaves. So we don't use any sheets or face cradle. For some of the very newborn babies in the wintertime, I will have a nice fleecy heating pad and a sheet over that, because they are, spitting up and all that. So I do use, if they're newborns, I do use in the winter, I'd use a sheet and a heating pad.
Okay.
Yeah, any questions that you guys have about just like starting your practice? I don't know, anything's up for grabs. So just any questions that you have at all.
How about any stories? Anybody have any good testimonial stories when you went back, or you maybe you've been working for a while? What's going on?
Elizabeth, do you have a question? You have your hand raised.
Uh-huh.
I have a couple questions, I guess. I can kind of share a fun story too, but I have a friend who has he's almost, no, he's 3, almost 4. Has like a lot of like oral, like myofunctional issues. She's been working with a lot of different therapists. He's in speech, he's in like birth to 3, like all of these programs. And like you could hear him like talk and he just sounds tight, like super tight. And so the very first time I worked on him, like just touching him, he like just melted like instantly in my hands. And like very soon, all of a sudden his tongue just started like doing twists in his mouth. And she was just like, oh my gosh, just like, you see that? Like that's his tongue unwinding. And like the week or so like after that, he has like progressed significantly with like all of his other therapies and his speech and all that. He's gained a lot more words. So that was just really cool to see and being able to help her.
Awesome.
But like couple questions I have, like in regards to kids and brain cycles, like are you always able to measure it on them? Because I feel like with kids, like it's hard to get them to hold still to like really feel that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're laying on the table, then generally you should be able to get their brain cycle. If they're old enough to lay on the table, if they're toddlers or they're, really wiggly, try to like sneak up behind them. Maybe when they're like have them sit in mom's lap and come, around from the back and put your hands on. But don't get too hung up on it. If you're having trouble getting brain cycle or you're, not feeling as confident, does take a lot of practice. And sometimes it's just like they don't have a great brain cycle. So there's not a lot to feel when they come in. So you may be putting your hands on them and, not feeling anything because they don't have a brain cycle. They're very tight.
That's what I feel like I'm trying to differentiate is like, am I just not feeling it or is there really nothing to feel?
Well, how about this? Do a little bit of CFT. So do the first 4 and you should be able to jump right back in there and feel something.
Okay.
I mean,
What
so
age? What age are you referring to? Sorry.
I mean, most of the kids I've worked on so far have been like 18 months to like 3 range.
They're very
and
hard.
so like they are ones like they're not laying on the table, like they're in mom's lap. I'm kind of like just following them around a little bit and they've got like a max of like 7 minutes
So what you try to do
that I can work on them.
Come in and when come in from behind and notice, are they contracting or are they expanding? And take your hand away and just, give it a couple seconds, come back in. Okay, they're still contracting, come back in, still contracting. Okay, so that says we've got a pretty decent cycle going, right? If you're coming in, not feeling anything, chances are it's a 0. But to hold on to a little 18-month-old and to be doing this, it's just work. It's going to upset them and you're not going to get anything out of it. So it could just be that you're coming in, you're out, you're in, you're out, and you're just trying to get the general gist of what's happening with that cycle and don't get hung up on the number.
Okay.
Definitely at that age.
Do we have time if I can have one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Is that okay with everybody? Okay. In the group, Barry like often talks a lot about like, people's stories and their histories. And then he's like, I felt strain from their diaphragm to their big toe and up here, and that explained XYZ. Can you like talk, I guess, a little bit about that, like in your personal practices? Do you feel like all of those patterns? Is it just something like you get like over time? Because right now, like I'm more or less just following like where I'm feeling things.
Yeah. So Barry's been doing this for over 50 years. It does over time, you can start to feel a little bit more of where the strain's coming from. We talk about the connect the dots in the class, if you remember that. And for me, I'm still working with, connect the dots. So sometimes it's them putting a hand somewhere. Do I feel something different? Do I feel something amplify? Or I'm putting a hand somewhere to see if I can feel that and start to figure out how everything's getting connected. So, yeah, please don't be intimidated when Barry writes those articles or talks in those terms. I get intimidated by it because I think I can't necessarily do that either. So, you're going to find your tricks of how you connect those dots. And that's what we teach in class, which I think is probably the most easy way to get in and start to get used to perfecting that idea. Holly, do you want to add anything to that? Because that does come up.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly what you said. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. We've got Becky. I've been a dental hygienist for almost 20 years, although mostly part-time. I've been doing CFT on friends and family, but since training last March, not super often, but maybe several sessions a week. That's awesome. I often feel fatigue in my hands after working on people. Is that normal? Or is it from years of strain on my hands? Or am I maybe being too heavy-handed in my CFT? It could be both. It's, it's hard to say. I think your hands will develop some strength and muscle over time from doing CFT. So if you're not used to it, like anything, you can fatigue. If you find yourself like under a sacrum and your hand's getting numb or your wrist is getting squeezed, pull your hand out. Don't put yourself in that position where you're going to cause any harm to yourself. And you can always just take a break, shake out, and go back in. Watch your grip. You don't certainly want to be heavy-handed. It's not heavy-handed until the fascia is pulling so hard that you've got to meet it at the same force. But that's, that's not for a whole session. That may just be a couple of releases. So, yes, it could be both of those issues.
Brittany, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wanting some advice for like transitioning from being like sitting behind a desk and doing like system accounting work, like because I'm loving this and like people are coming back that I'm working on, but like I have to go through the steps because I live in Alaska to like, be real or whatever, but
Yeah. Well,
I'll just share quickly, like, so that I can mute myself, that my mom and I got to work on each other after we took the class and then work with like on like some family members, like together, like at the same time. And it was neat.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, are you thinking about going to massage school?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
just doing like the transition from like what I like, because I know that or Kim was like business and then like business person and
So
then
I started just like you're doing, working on friends and family, and they liked it and they told their friends and family, and then you start getting calls and you start getting referrals, and before you know it, you're busy. So you can, in the beginning, I didn't charge anything when I was just brand new. And then, I charged just a nominal fee after I had my, license just to kind of get myself up and running and experienced, and, just never looked back, and it will build. So you can also go to some professionals in the area, like your chiropractors or if you have any airway center dentists, anybody who's in the holistic field, acupuncturists, different people, explain what you're doing, birth professionals, and you'll get referrals from them as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anybody have this is from Samantha Bosack. Anybody have experience treating people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or hypermobility spectrum disorders? If so, could you talk a bit about that and what kind of results you've gotten? So that's interesting because these people present really loose. They've got hypermobile joints. So we do work on them. So you always want to be mindful that you're holding the joints, and, in certain, if you're unwinding, that you're supporting their joints and keeping them safe so that they don't hyperextend. But it's very odd that underneath all this looseness, you will still feel that the fascia is tight. And so, yes, I have worked with them. I have helped them, where pain may be an issue, anxiety has been an issue. They have felt a lot of relief. So I would say yes to working on people with this. And Ehlers-Danlos is a connective tissue disorder. So,
Yeah, and
they
I'll
well with
second
that.
that too, Kim, with the nerve, because a lot of anxiety. So I would say that the Ehlers-Danlos people that I've worked on really, it's just parasympathetic nervous system regulation in general, overall too, just really helpful for them.
Yeah. Joe Crudy, an update from my kiddo I saw yesterday who came with the op tilt
Opposite tilt. Yeah.
today morning. Mom said it lasted for a few hours, opposite, but has resolved now. She said it was bizarre.
Well, that's good that she wrote you and let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, can you see anybody else, Holly?
I'm gonna go to gallery.
Shiloh.
Hey, Shiloh. Hi, Shiloh.
Hello. I got to work with my former therapist. He brought a client to me that was very interested. She's been having a hard time recalling childhood memories. And so they were really interested in doing something similar to some somatic body work. So I worked with them. He held her feet the whole time to help ground her. And it was really, really interesting. She cried the whole time. And when I got to her arm, it was unwinding like crazy. And afterwards, she just sat up and talked about how amazing it was and how she had remembered that she broke her wrist when she was really, really little. And she had a lot of amazing childhood memories come back. And that she said they were very vivid and clear. So she loved that. And I worked with another person that had a extremely traumatic childhood. And he had a lot of memories resurface too, and it was kind of terrifying. But in the end, they were very present and just very present. And it was something in a place that they haven't really been at in a very long time, maybe if ever, because they were abused their whole life. But the therapist said that he had never seen their client that present and aware before and calm and happy. And so I thought that was really neat.
That's beautiful.
He just purchased property and he's wanting to create a group home for older children that are transitioning into adulthood. And he has a healing room and he wants me to go work for him. I'm in the middle of massage therapy school, which is amazing. I ended up with a teacher that teaches craniosacral therapy and myofascial therapy. So that's been great. So yeah, this has been
That's
so fun.
I mean, when you think about all the people who are in some type of talk therapy, but the body's not being addressed, it's such a nice blend of that too. So that's yet another professional that we can team with to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay,
So,
and if
yeah.
most practitioners start off working renting out space from other holistic practitioners. I don't know. I started out working from an office in my home and I never left. So, I mean, you can really do anything. You can Holly rented her own space for years. I know people do share spaces, or they work out of a chiropractor office or, dentist office. There's all types of creative ways for you to get space.
Yeah, you can, if you're just starting out, you might find another practitioner who maybe doesn't use their office like on Saturdays and Sundays, or, yeah, or just, I've done that for other people that were starting out because I didn't use my office on certain days. I was like, they just paid me like by the hour, like if they paid me, like very small amount and it was fine. I wasn't using it anyway. So yeah,
There's
you can
also
definitely find
people who will go, before you want to jump into maybe paying rent or something, where you go to people's homes. So I also know practitioners who will do that. So you can get creative with that. Okay, Katie Bogman. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm a physical therapist and taken John Barnes' MFR, no CDT classes yet. CDT, maybe you meant
I think
CS.
she means CFT.
Okay, but interested. I have a patient with high anxiety, but she has nightmares that wake her up with anxiety daily. What kind of work would help with dreams? Well, that could be nervous system. It could be sleep issues. So I'd say CFT can certainly help, you know, with both of those. Anxiety is all nervous system related. So I would definitely say CFT could be a good adjunct to her with all the other things that you may be doing. Okay, Valerie Muir has a comment about ED and LSS. Jump right in.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, Ehlers-Danlos and ligament stretch syndrome, which is the precursor to Ehlers-Danlos, which I have LSS. And I can attest to the fact that you can be absolutely wound tighter than a drum and still have that. And I have 3 clients in particular that have Ehlers-Danlos, and in my experience, what I have found is basically I have to approach them like I would approach an infant.
Yeah, be very careful.
Yeah, it's in the infant, you teach us that it's baby led. And when I approach those clients, I've just learned that I need to really just listen. I mean, we listen anyway, but I mean, I am not going, oh, I think this, I got to go. Like, I really I treat them like they're a baby, and they get amazing results that way because it doesn't take as much, is what I have found, to get the same results I would get to somebody who doesn't have it. Because even though they're wound tight, they seem to release really well.
That's awesome, Valerie.
Patience, and I always tell people that CFT has a middle name, and it's called Patience, but its last name is Profound. And so that's when you put that with an Ehlers-Danlos, we're so used to feeling someone, oh, there, it's going, maybe. You just have to be a little bit more patient and just hang out a little bit longer and listen. And all of a sudden, just things happen. It's so cool.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely want to approach them with, you know, a little bit of care. Do you find, this is Jessica, do you find a better outcome with those that seek out CFT and know about it versus someone that's open to it and not really knowledgeable of CFT, but wants a session, someone that is unaware? Oh, I'll even take that a step further. And the husband that comes in because the wife said, you need to go get CFT, and he's rolling his eyes. I don't even know why I'm here. My wife said, doesn't believe in it. And he's almost there to prove you wrong. And I just say, this isn't a religion, and you don't have to believe it, you know, and that is, I love when that happens because you have an opportunity to really, you know, show somebody how wonderful CFT is. So no, I don't think that you need to have the knowledge up front that you need to believe. You're going to do what you do, and, you know, CFT is going to show benefit. So in my opinion, that's been my experience.
Yeah. Do you have a question, Brooke? You have your little hand thing raised.
Yes. Well, I don't have a question. I just have a really cool story.
Oh, awesome.
So my youngest son, well, at the time, was born with bilateral club foot. And I'm just curious too, if anyone, as we like continue to do these, if anyone else has worked on club foot babies, and what their experience was. But this guy, he's coming over here. He was in the class and we were having some issues with like mouth. Like I could not get in his mouth except for like one time during class. And then I've been working more and more with it. And he was not walking during class, and he ended up starting walking in May. And he is like almost 100% corrected without any surgery, any invasive things that we've been doing. CFT has been a piece of the puzzle. It's definitely not been the only thing, but I can definitely tell when I work on him, a lot of it is related to his mouth. And then I see the release in his feet. So that's been really kind of fun to just see. So wanted to share that, especially for clubfoot babies. I have a special place in my heart for them.
Yeah.
And then we've just had some really cool, like, I've had a younger gal that I'm seeing currently too, has had a lot of bedwetting issues, and she's 6. So obviously not something you want to still be dealing with at that age. And she's seen so much improvement. And it's funny because the PTs that she's working with are kind of like in awe, and they just don't know what to think right now. They're like, well, we've been doing this like over and over with this, therapy, and she's done OT and just different types of therapy. And so it's just, I think, a testament to what we do in our work and how amazing and what a variety of people that we can see with different issues. I mean, I could go on and on with the kiddos that I've been able to help, and even pregnant mamas. I'm waiting for a call actually any day now from a mama that had a breech baby, and she just was really tight in her pelvic floor, and we did some work on her, and baby flipped, and she's waiting to have this baby now. So just
That's
wanted to
amazing.
share a few things.
Brooke. All good news. Wonderful. Okay, so Jenna Locken, has anyone ever experienced working on a practitioner of a different modality trying to take over their appointment? Any advice on how to address, gently remind them about our training? I think I might need more clarity on that, Jenna. You're working on the practitioner, or you're sharing a client with the practitioner?
So I have a friend that asked me to do CFT on her. I actually was very hesitant to do CFT on her because of knowing her personality.
Yeah.
And it ended up kind of proving itself during the appointment, where she's like, well, didn't they teach you to like put a body part off of the, like, particularly her left shoulder was bothering her, and I was just following her body. This was actually between San Antonio and coming down to Arizona that I worked on her. And she like was kind of like questioning. And I mean, I feel well versed in like how we approach everything and being able to explain that part, but I just didn't know if other people have had that experience where like somebody just kind of comes in and tries to sort of tell you what they know. I mean, because she is a massage therapist and she has been trained in some CST. And so I just didn't know if there was like anybody that had any advice about how to gently remind them like, okay, but I'm here to do this, and like follow the body and things like that. Or do you just kind of avoid that? Or does anybody else work with other professionals, I guess?
Do you want to take that one?
No, I mean, I have a lot of things that I'm saying in my head that are probably inappropriate to say to the client, but I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, I think I also think about like when you go to like a new hair person and you're like, they're like there to do your hair, and you're like, okay, but wait a second, no, I don't do it like that. I want it like this, and don't cut my bangs like that. And like I know that I would be that person like with the new hair person. So I kind of get it, they're like, they're trying to direct it, but just say, I got this, just relax. I know this is very different. It's a very, very different modality that you've experienced before, and just see if you can just like close your eyes and relax, and just, like I don't know her personality. She may not be able to.
It was very much like wanting to be in control. And like I said,
she might be like that for any modality,
And I know she is, because she's talked about other practitioners working on her, and she's like, I don't get much out of it. And so that's why I was like, I wasn't going to offer it to her, but she insisted that like, I want to come out and have you work on me. And then, yeah, I just wondered if anybody had other experience.
Massage herself.
What's that? Oh,
tell her to massage herself.
So, I mean, a lot of times people want you to know how much they know. And so,
right.
It's as long as you can understand that and kind of step back and understand what's happening in the situation, and not to take it personally, and to know that you're doing CFT, you're doing a modality, and that you want to help her, and, just using the language to just try to like, put her defenses down a little bit, that we know that she's an expert in her field, but this is something new, and you just, would really like to have her experience it. Maybe you know, maybe you could get her to kind of sink into it that way. So, I was going to say, you know, we have this challenge sometimes in class where we have so many really brilliant people coming in with so many different backgrounds and experiences and professions. And it's very hard for somebody who is such an expert in their field to leave it at the door and to come in and to just learn pure CFT. So, you know, maybe asking her something like that, like just leave everything you know at the door when you come in here, and let's just see, you know, see what you think of just doing CFT. And then, you know, often we just say to people who are training, then when you go out there, you can blend it and you can experiment and how it's going to fit in with what you do. But there's no sense in coming to a training and just doing what you do because you just spent money to learn something new. And there's no sense in going to a practitioner and, you know, not fully experiencing what they can offer you. So I think it's a conversation really more than anything, trying to get her to relax into it.
Thank you. But that direction, just with navigating the conversation differently, helps. So thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And it's don't take it, you know, personally too. So, okay. Who do we have? Jamie Fox, what are your thoughts on CST incorporating fascia component now? Why don't you tell us about that more? You know, I've not taken a CST class for a little bit, so I'm not sure, but you know what? I say it's awesome if that's what they're doing because it's all connected.
I don't know a whole bunch about it. I just see that it's starting to be a thing. So I was curious because they're putting out like, you know, extremity assessment and fascia movements and core and organ, whatever. So I was just curious because it's like cool to me that more places are experiencing fascia and really respecting it, you know, and hey.
Hi, buddy. Yeah, I think it's awesome if that's, you know, if that's where they're heading and what they've discovered and how they're incorporating it in. So, that's good to hear, really. Anybody else?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Valerie. I took my CST, my first CST course last fall, and I took it at Up Ledger here in Florida. So at the headquarters, and our teacher is on the board. And he said something very interesting at the end of our last class. And he said, yeah, we've got a board meeting coming up where we are going to decide on changing our curriculum. And he was saying, yeah, we've got a board meeting next week. And he knew that two of us were fascial therapists. I mean, we didn't advertise it, but, you know, it just conversation gets around. And so it was very interesting. We both looked at each other and he said, yeah, we're voting on whether to decide if we incorporate in where the nerves exit the brain and take through the fascia and go out to the rest of the body. And that isn't exactly how I worded it, but that was the basic tenet. I mean, and it was basically like saying, okay, we are deciding that it's not just because they teach that craniosacral is one little closed package and that the body is separate. So he's basically was saying in his verbiage, he was saying, we're combining the two.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so we were really excited. So I knew that was coming and I thought, wow, that's really great.
Yeah.
So, and they did in my class, he did talk a little bit more about that, but he was very, very guarded about it until that comment. And it's like, oh, that's why he was dropping tidbits through class.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good.
So it's exciting too. I mean, I think it's exciting because CST is huge.
I want to give you some kudos, Valerie, right? So Valerie, you took our class as a grandma, correct? Mom?
Yes, I was retired. I came out of retirement.
Yeah. And since then, you went to massage school and
Yes.
you're busier than ever. We hear your name come up all the time. And you're bringing us down to Florida so that we're going to plant some more people in your community. And it's just like, I love hearing your story. So congratulations on your success.
Thank you. It's been an amazing journey, and I will never look back. I'm just plowing forward. It's just amazing. There's just nothing in life like changing other people's lives.
That's right. That's how you change your own. Okay, Jacrudy, you have another question?
No, I just have a comment about
Okay.
CST. I did take the CS1 through a pleasure earlier, not earlier this year, but last December. And our instructor was a PT as well. He did, like, there is a protocol for CST that we go through, within which there is a little bit of touch on the fascial system, and they do teach you to release the pelvic fascia and the diaphragms and all of those. So there is a slight fascial component to it, but I guess what I am understanding is there is a complete different visceral mobilization than fascial institute, and it's not through a pleasure that they do it through Barrel Institute and all of that. They have a whole bunch of other institutes that they are associated with.
Yeah.
So I think that's what now they're gonna try getting fascial system into CST courses.
Gotcha.
So it's just keeping those like separate courses.
Okay. See, I mean, that's good. It's good to just be aware of what's happening in the different fields as practitioners. So that's all really good information. Okay. Anybody else? I know it's probably, well, it's getting close to 9 o'clock, probably bedtime for some of those little guys we see if you're on the East Coast. Anybody have any other questions or comments? We've got maybe 5, 6 minutes left.
So can I just
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I was just going through the directory application form, and I'm in the state of Georgia. Georgia doesn't issue license, like good standing letters for us to submit. In that case, what do we do?
If
Is
your
there the question?
if your state legally does not require you, then you're good. I mean, that's what we're saying, is you just have to look what your state and your scope of practice will allow.
Because that's one of the required questions on. So what do I submit instead? Do I just submit my license, the PT license copy?
And do you have insurance?
Yes, I do have a liability insurance. Okay. All
Yes. Right. Great. Jamie did not open up a can of worms. We love, that's not at all what you did. You opened up a really good conversation and you made all of us aware of it. So thank you for that.
And then I was going to comment just one more thing on that. It's Valerie again, that don't forget who you are and what your purpose is. I mean, if you've decided you want to be a CFT therapist, it doesn't matter what else you study. Use whatever else you study, incorporate things into what you do if you do, but don't feel like you need to be intimidated by anybody else. We get a ton of clients that have been to CST therapists and they're like, we want to come to you now, and say, okay, that's great. And just say, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what they did. This is what we do. And don't be afraid to own what you do.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so much work out there. There's so many modalities. There's so many people to help. There's no need to be territorial. There's no need. You don't have to explain anything. You just do what you do. And, you will get results and people will come back to you and other professionals will like working with you because we complement what they do, whether it's myofunctional work or whether it's chiropractic or acupuncture. We're no threat to anybody. We're only enhancing what they do because we open up the system and then the body can receive all those other great modalities, even better. So that's how I always present it when working with other professionals. So I love to collaborate with other professionals because it's just, a team approach. And people need that. People need to feel that somebody cares, that somebody is, communicating for them and with them, and that we're not doing this for us, we're doing this for them. All right, so I think we're probably about ready to say goodnight to everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking, all of you for, we were hoping somebody would show up and you did. So we love seeing you and hearing the stories and questions. And so we'll continue with these conversations. I hope that you find it helpful. Think about your questions, and you can always reach out to us as well, you know, email, whatnot. But I like hearing all of you communicate back and forth too, and trying to build a community that way. So I thank you all. We're heading to Florida to see Valerie and her gang soon. So we still have a few classes left this year. And so if anybody is interested in coming back and retaking with us, we love to see you joining us for infant, sending your friends. It's, you know, that's how this is all building, is really through referral from all of you. So thank you so much. Thank you, guys.